for me, it was just a way to explore some themes that I've been exploring in a lot of my films of this, the protagonist that Ethan plays, the Swede, is this kind of damaged soul who he's described in the article in The New Yorker, which the script is based on, as a tender brute. And for me, it's just capturing this duality of character. And that's what really sucked me in. And the idea of making an elevated genre film, which has some of the conventions of the bank heist and a thriller. But at the end of the day, it's really a character study and kind of a psychological drama. And that's the stuff that really excites me. I wasn't aware of the robbery and that the Stockholm Syndrome came from this. I knew that it had its origins in Stockholm, but like Ethan, I thought the Patty Hearst incident, which happened in '74, was really what put it on the map. Politics in the world, in 1973, you know, America at the time was under Nixon. It's a very conservative, right-wing kind of world coming out of Vietnam, and Sweden was still very social democratic under Olof Palme. And so I think the politics of the world are kind of slightly reminiscent to even what they are today. There's a certain kind of paranoid 70s feeling to, I think, today's Trump era. And so I think the politics is similar. So for me, there was a lot of things in the story that made it still relevant to today. The nice thing about real-life incidents for research is that you have access to other documentaries that were made. There's this amazing New Yorker article, obviously, by Daniel Lang. But then I spent a lot of time in Stockholm pouring through police reports. I went to the archives. I went to the police museum. I have like thousands of photos and documents and police transcripts. And so it's quite easy to access a lot of stuff. The liberties that I took in adapting the script, I think, are pretty much consistent with the liberties that most everybody takes when they adapt real-life events. I spent a lot of time studying, you know, Dog Day Afternoon, which is an amazing film, and that was based on an article in Life magazine, for example. And in Dog Day Afternoon, you know, they changed all the names of the characters, they changed lots of plot points. I basically did the same thing. We combined some characters, changed some names, but ultimately all the key points of the film are as they were in the real-life incident. The real-life incident took place over 6 days. For example, the film takes place over 3. So often when you're adapting real-life events, you have to focus and compress time. Even though it's called Stockholm, it's important that the story kind of reaches out and feels universal and covers kind of larger situations. In a lot of ways, at the start of the movie, it almost feels like there's an element of a buddy comedy, a buddy heist comedy in there. But then things kind of darken, and their relationship kind of goes a different route. And so that's really the love triangle: Ethan, Mark, and Numi in the film, and one relationship builds while the other sours. You're never really 100% sure with this kind of character, because again, we're leaving behind the reality to a certain degree and kind of coming up with our own version of it, just like we did to a certain degree with Chet Baker and Born to be Blue. And so I wanted Ethan to bring parts of himself into it, but then parts of the real character. And we talked a lot about the Americanization of it and the Swedishness and what the balance would be. And so it was kind of a surprise. I think he was even surprising himself with his character and finding his character, because a lot of the character is about disguise and wearing this mask and peeling back the layers and pretending he's one guy, pretending he's another guy. So it's a bit complicated in terms of who he really is and what does he really want. I've always loved Mark Strong, but I saw him when I was editing Born to be Blue. I saw him in London on the stage in A View from the Bridge, the Arthur Miller play, and it just blew me away. It was probably the best stage performance I think I've ever seen in my life. It was unbelievable. And he just brings such a great intensity, and he very much is able to play the kind of straight guy against Ethan's character. I've always been a huge fan of Numi's, and she tends to because coming off of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and some of her other roles, she's often this tough, spunky, edgy character, which is kind of like Numi in real life. And I was really excited about playing against that completely, playing her as a very conservative, very kind of apparently gentle, just casting against her type as much as possible, because part of her arc is to find herself and find this inner strength.
Was he surprised?
We will let the ladies go when it's over.
Have you done this before?
Do I look like an idiot? What is it like being stuck in there with criminals?
It's not too bad.
He's like a child.
人質はなぜ犯人に味方したのか。ストックホルムケース